That was an embarrassing performance by the Marlins against the White Sox this weekend.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for 3 seasons now. You can hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Don't forget to leave a like. If you're on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And on today's show, I'm going to talk about this embarrassing series by the Marlins. The offense was horrific. Edward Cabrera, I'm going to talk about him. That's a positive. Can't be all negative, but I'm not happy right now. I'm going to talk about Matt Mervis. This is just becoming a disaster. He's still on the Marlins, and players are not getting opportunities to play. I'm going to take a look ahead to the rest of the schedule and also talk about Sandy Alcantara. Can't forget about him. He had an opportunity, a get-right game against the White Sox on Sunday, and it looked pretty good, but one bad pitch cost him and the Marlins the game. But before all that, I want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Going into this series, I thought that the Marlins were going to take 2 out of 3. I predicted that with Todd Welter on the Locked On crossover episode from last week. He predicted the Marlins to take 2 out of 3. I did the same. I felt that the Marlins were a better baseball team, and I was wrong. The Marlins played awful. Just bad baseball across the board from Miami. The White Sox aren't a good team. Last year they fielded one of the worst teams, if not the worst team ever in baseball history. This season, they're still not good. It felt like the Marlins had an opportunity to win a series, if not get a sweep. And it was the complete opposite. Let's go back to Friday night's game. Max Meyer got the start. He looked pretty good. He needed it after 2 rough starts against Seattle and not Oakland, against the Athletics. And after a really scorching hot to 2025, he ran into a little bit of trouble. Again, the White Sox are on tap. They're on the schedule. It feels like this is an opportunity to get back into a groove. And for the most part, he did just that. He pitches into the 7th inning. So he goes through 6 innings. Clayton McCullough leaves him out there in the 7th. He runs into some trouble. And ultimately, his final line isn't indicative of how well he pitched because he gave up 5 earned runs. But for the most part, he looked good. He just ran out of gas. Is that on Clayton McCullough? Leaving him out there in the 7th inning until the damage is already done? Well, I don't know, because on the flip side of it, if you want to take him out after 6, then you're going to say, well, why can't the starters pitch deeper into games? Why do you go to the bullpen? And maybe hindsight's 2020, and the bullpen shuts the door, and you say that's a good decision. But also, you could have a situation much like happened with the Dodgers last week, in which Valente Beozo goes 5 innings, 76 pitches, gets taken out, the bullpen collapses. His pitch count really wasn't that high. Clayton was showing faith in his starter. He finished with 90 pitches. I don't really have a huge problem with running Max Meyer out there for the 7th. Now, the offense went 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. That is where I have a major problem with. When you score 2 runs and you go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position, you're not going to win a lot of ball games. It's pretty simple. The Marlins don't have the slug. They don't have the power in this lineup to post those numbers. When you get runners on base, you have to capitalize. That is the formula for winning. You draw a walk, you draw a single, whether it's 1 out, 2 outs. If you don't have guys up there who are hitting home runs, whether that's a solo shot or a 2-run shot to give you that cushion, then you got to hit when that runner's standing on second or third. And if you don't, you're going to lose. They don't have the power to hit that poorly in clutch situations. Thankfully, on Thursday, Eric Wagaman, who has been one of the worst clutch hitters this season in all of baseball, he completely turned that script around and hit a 2-run triple that gave the Marlins the lead and ultimately the win. But overall, you lose 2 out of 3 to the White Sox, I'm not going to be happy. You want to watch bad baseball? Go rewatch this series. It was bad. Bad at-bats, bad defense, bad pitching, bad base running, you name it. The Marlins are entering the point in the season where it's kind of make or break time. They don't have the luxury of just dropping a series here or there. No, when you are under 500 and the Marlins are comfortably below 500, then you need to take advantage of the teams that you should beat. And maybe I'm looking at it all wrong. Maybe the White Sox go into this series and they say, oh, it's the Marlins. Let's go take care of business. I really think, or really thought rather, that the Marlins were a better team. They certainly didn't play like it. You score 2 runs in Friday night's game. Saturday night, White Sox Rule 5 pick Shane Smith. He's been really good this season. Dominates the Marlins. You're shut out until the 7th, and Kyle Stowers hits a home run. Wagaman hits a triple. Thankfully, the Marlins did just enough to get that victory. It wasn't an impressive victory. They easily could have lost that game, but they got the win. And then Sunday's game. More of the same story. Not enough offense, not enough hitting. Sandy Alcantara pitched well, but one mistake cost the Marlins the game. 3-run homer. More about Sandy later, more about Edward Cabrera, who started that middle game later. But the Marlins offense right now is at a breaking point. They have to figure it out now. Where is the power going to come from? Why will that not be addressed? When is it going to be addressed? How do we view players who are struggling right now? Matt Mervis, Xavier Edwards. It's been rough. You got to hit. You got to help your pitchers out. But the strength of this team right now was the lineup. And this lineup didn't do anything. Very bad performance by the Bats. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about Edward Cabrera. I'm also going to talk about Sandy Alcantara and dissect their starts, what went right, what went wrong for both of them. That's coming up right after this. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. If you're an everyday listener, thank you for being part of the Locked On Marlins crew. And if this is your first or second time checking out Locked On Marlins, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel And remember, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Edward Cabrera, you never know what you're going to get with him when it comes to the walks, to the short starts, to the strikeouts. You could have a game in which he racks up double-digit strikeouts. He's done it before. He is an enigma of a starting pitcher. I really liked his start on Saturday. He gave the Marlins a chance to win. And he didn't have necessarily the swing and miss stuff that that's typical of an Edward Cabrera successful start. Usually when Cabrera is pitching and he's on his A game, he's racking up all those strikeouts. He's getting a ton of whiffs. And in this one, he only had 2 strikeouts. He goes 5 innings, 3 hits, only 1 earned run, only 1 run in general. And he only walked 1 batter. He was attacking the zone early and often, and that is what has always been the X factor with Edward Cabrera as a starting pitcher. Is he going to throw enough strikes? And in this one, he really did. He induced a lot of weak contact. He kept the ball, away from the barrel. He wasn't giving up those hard hit line drives like we saw in spring training. And if you can do that and you can command the strike zone, you're going to be successful. Edward Cabrera had a really good start. The bullpen also, you look at the bullpen, they put up zeros all the way across. Lake Bacher, Calvin Fauché, Anthony Bender, and Jesus Tinoco. Those are the high leverage arms. That is who should be pitching for the Marlins in close games. Tinoco gets the save, and the Marlins get the win, and they had an opportunity to take the series. And this episode, the environment of this episode would be a lot different if the Marlins won on Sunday, but they didn't. Felt like Sandy Alcantara was going to have his get-right game. The game that we've been expecting to see, we've been wanting to see for so long, and I think it was a bag of mixed results from Sandy Alcantara because he did pitch deep into the game, 5 2/3. I mean, not a crazy long start, but it was a solid start from Alcantara. He struck out 8 White Sox, and the box score is going to say 4 earned runs. 3 of those came in that 6th inning. Again, going back to, does Clayton McCullough take out Sandy Alcantara? Why? Sandy Alcantara is your ace. He's 1 out away from getting out of this inning, or, he's 1 inning away from completing 6 and a really good start. Just leave him in the game. I have no problem with it. And hindsight, again, is 2020. He gives up a 3-run jack to not Mike Elko. That's a football coach. Tim Elko, who just got called up, hits a 3-run bomb. It gives the White Sox a 4-1 lead. And that was more than enough for this one. The Marlins ended up tacking on a run. But Sandy Alcantara, that's your ace. That's your guy. You roll with him. He's been in these situations before. It's also a prospect that just got called up, Tim Elko. To be honest, I had no idea who that was before this weekend. I saw on Twitter that White Sox are calling up Tim Elko. Okay, who's that, So you can criticize Clayton McCullough for leaving Alcantara in the game, for trying to ride him out as long as possible. But isn't that what you kind of want? For me, I'm okay. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You live with your ace, you die with your ace. Sandy Alcantara, his stuff wasn't really phenomenal, I would say. But it was 1 bad pitch. He still struck out 8. 1 bad pitch, left it over the middle of the plate. Elko crushes it, and I just said, oh no. Here we go again. Shades of 2023, all over again. Where Sandy Alcantara pitches well, but 1 inning, it gets away from him, it unravels, or it's 1 pitch, 1 home run, that 1 big hit, and you look at the box score, Sandy has multiple runs charged to him, he gets the loss, and the Marlins lose. That's what happened much too often in 2023. And that was the last time we really saw Sandy Alcantara pitch. He's been on the shelf with Tommy John surgery and rehabbing from that. But early on watching this game, I was encouraged with what I saw. Now, the ultimate result, sure, you gave up 4 earned runs, you lost the game. From the team perspective, that's not good. But for Sandy and getting better, I'll take that. Not that I want that. That's not the ultimate result. That's not the optimal result or ending to his outing. But for the majority of the game, he pitched clean. He was effective. Again, 8 strikeouts in 5 2/3. Other front offices noticed that. Hopefully, it's some momentum, even though the ending was poor. But he can take the first 5 innings and take that momentum into his next start. And he can complete that 6th inning. Alcantara is too talented to pitch this poorly. Saw a little bit of it against Chicago. Him going up. He hit an obstacle there in the 6th. Gave up the 3-run jack. But overall, it feels better than his start against the Dodgers or the Phillies from a couple weeks ago when it felt like the sky was completely falling and everything was broken. So I'm going to be an optimist in this situation, and I'm going to say, Sandy Alcantara, that was a step in the right direction, and there's still some positivity that you can take away from that start. Now, again, from the Marlins perspective, you still lost the game, and you dropped 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. White Sox only put up 4. You put up 2 runs. I wonder what the Marlins did with runners in scoring position. Oh, that's interesting. 2 for 9. They left 8 on base. I wonder if that's bad or good. Probably not too good. Again, no slug, no power. This is what happens. This is what's going to get you in a losing streak. It doesn't get much easier. One of the players who I have a hard time justifying being on the Major League roster, even with the power, is Matt Mervis. I want to talk about Matt Mervis. I'm going to talk about Xavier Edwards. I'm going to talk about the rest of this week, what it looks like for the Marlins, and if things can get better or are they going to get worse. That's coming up right after this. And this episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. If you love the no-shells variety, it's the perfect grab-and-go snack for those busy days. Whether you're snacking at your desk, on a road trip, or you just need a quick protein boost, they're always a go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids, and these little green wonders pack a protein punch. Grab the no-shells Wonderful Pistachios for that grab-and-go ease, or if you like the satisfying crack of opening each shell like snack meditation, grab the in-shell variety. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed. But you can also listen to the pod as well. We're on all the major podcast platforms out there. Look, Matt Mervis, when he was acquired by the Marlins, it was kind of a risk-free investment. You traded away Vidal Brujan, who didn't work out in Miami whatsoever. I thought he was a horrible baseball player. And you got a former top 100 prospect in Matt Mervis with a ton of power. It never really worked out in Chicago. It's a perfect change of scenery candidate for the season. And he started off really hot. And I went on the podcast and I was like, this guy's figured it out. He's a baseball player. He is a legit player. And then he hit a brick wall. And it's just been downhill ever since. You look at his baseball savant profile, his page, it's almost exclusively blue. He's striking out a ton. 39%. I got to pull this up here because I want to get the number right exactly. But it's bad. I mean, Matt Mervis right now, the only positive attribute to him is that when he hits the ball, when he hits it, it's hard. And he has some good bat speed. 39.6% K rate for Matt Mervis. It's in the first percentile. It's as blue as you can get. He's whiffing on 44% of pitches. It's not going to cut it. And the Marlins have a guy named Troy Johnston who's been languishing in AAA for the last X number of years, 27 years old, who's never got a chance. Oh, wait, Matt Mervis is 27 years old. Interesting how that works. Look, Deyvison de los Santos is also in AAA. He is going to be close to Major League ready, if not right now. How much longer is this Matt Mervis experiment going to go? Yes, I may sound a little bit contradictory because I say, the Marlins need slug, they need power. Well, Matt Mervis brings the power when he hits the ball. Do you have any confidence that he's going to go up there and hit a homer? It's kind of like flipping a coin. But no, it's kind of like rolling a die. You roll a die and you hope that it lands on a specific number. Let's say 2. If Matt Mervis, if I land this die on number 2, Mervis hits a home run. And I don't even know if the odds are that high for Mervis right now. It truly is a crapshoot. When will Mervis hit his next homer? I don't know. Will that change the narrative? I don't think so. Because I'm not going to justify keeping a player on the roster who is that bad at creating consistent contact and quality contact and actually hitting the ball, then bringing up a player like Troy Johnston who's earned a shot in the major leagues. I don't care what the prospect rankings say or the breakdown of his tools defensively or as a base runner, because Matt Mervis isn't a great base runner or defender as well. But Johnston deserves a shot, and he deserves a shot over Mervis. Deyvison de los Santos is going to deserve a shot over Matt Mervis. Let's talk about Xavier Edwards. No hate towards X, no hate towards Matt Mervis, but I'm going to call it how it is. This is what I do on this podcast. Xavier Edwards is a contact hitter who isn't making enough contact. There you go. He doesn't play good defense. He steals bases, but to me at least, it feels like, he's getting caught a lot. I'm going to pull up the numbers right here. He's got 11 bags on the year. But it's just, I don't know. He doesn't chase. He's going to hit the ball, but when he hits it, it's just not good. It's not good quality of contact. And he has no slug. The OPS, very low. 630. 291 slug. He's hitting 259. I'm not as upset with Xavier Edwards as I am with Matt Mervis, but I am upset with the fact that he's still hitting leadoff every single day and he's still playing shortstop every single day. At some point, you have to realize Xavier Edwards is not a shortstop. He's not going to be a shortstop for the long-term future of this team. Is he just a placeholder there until Max Acosta and Jared Cerna or or one of these prospects, or maybe another addition into this organization comes around, because he's a liability, complete liability at short. And it just feels like he's kind of below average offensively. His OPS plus, or WRC plus, I should say, is 72. And I hope I got that right. I looked at the stat before I recorded. But either way, one of those metrics, he's well below average. And I had high expectations for him. I thought he was going to be a really good hitter. I predicted him to win the National League batting crown. And it is OPS plus, just to make sure. That's unlikely to happen. Xavier Edwards, look, I like him as a player. I thought he was a great call-up last year, a great story last year. I thought the hit tool was going to immediately translate into this season, but it really hasn't. It hasn't so far. I mean, his batting average is 60 points lower than it was a season ago. He's approaching 200 at-bats. A lot of time left, but he needs to turn it around, or there's going to be difficult conversations to have surrounding his future on the team. Because I don't think you can justify playing X 150 games a season at shortstop with bad defense when he hits 260 and a 630 OPS. I just don't think you can. Look ahead to next week for the Marlins this coming week. They got the Cubs in Chicago. The Cubs are a really good team. They got some really good hitters. Kyle Tucker, PCA, one of the most electric players in baseball. Plays really good defense. He's been on fire to start the season. Then you have the Rays. The Rays are scrappy. The Rays are always a tough out for the Marlins. It's going to be tough to win one of those series. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Marlins should be expected to lose both of those series. It comes down to starting pitching. Can the pitching give you a chance? Can the bullpen avoid getting blown up and having a game like the Dodgers in that Dodger series, which they gave up 10 runs? But you got to contain the stars. You got to contain Tucker. You're going to have to contain Caminero for the Rays. And then offensively, I would love to see some power. I think this is the third time I've mentioned it on this podcast, on this episode, which should tell you how important it is. Jesus Sanchez is not tapping into his power. Connor Norby is really yet to get going. He's swinging and missing a lot. Augustine Ramirez. I love what I've seen from him so far. I'd like to see him keep it up and have a really good week. Because otherwise, it's just kind of, it's going to be hard to score runs. You can't go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position again. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Sandy Alcantara will start probably next weekend. Can he translate some more momentum and continue building toward prime Sandy again? It was a step in the right direction apart from one bad pitch. Can he do that again against Tampa Bay? The Marlins need him to. Not just for Sandy's sake, but for the organization's sake. The Marlins are going to end up trying to trade Sandy Alcantara. It's essentially as sure a bet as you can make. But you want to get as much value for him. You want to execute that trade to perfection. And Sandy pitching well is only going to enhance that. It's going to be tough this week. I'm going to be watching. I'm sure you guys will be watching. But that was an embarrassing weekend. I hate that we lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox of all teams. They're not a good baseball team. The Marlins aren't either. But it's ride or die with these fish. And that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. I appreciate you guys listening. Until next time, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.